All right, everybody, welcome to Virtual Bourbon. My name is Steve Akley. We have a fun event tonight. We're going to be talking about the Little Book series. So it is absolutely one of my favorites. It's like a must-have. And now what is kind of scary about Little Book, I don't know if you guys experience this in the markets that you're in, but the market that I am in, St. Louis, this was like a one-day event. It seems like Little Book, I always would say, was at least a couple of weeks, maybe even a month. You could get it when it first came out, sat on the shelf, but not anymore. Those days are gone. It's if you want to get it, you got to be in the know when it lands at your store, and then you got to get there and pick it up. So I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time. I was home, and someone told me it's out there, so I ran out to the store right away and got my Little Book, Chapter 5. And of course, I get more than one. Because I do the event, I like to have one personal for drinking, and then I save one too. It's and I'm not a proponent of just saving whiskey to save whiskey, but I collect this series, and I want to. I don't. At some point, I'll stop. That'll be either when Freddie stops, or maybe I always say is uh, 21 years into it'll be enough. I'll crack them all, and we'll do a huge side by side tasting. I'll invite you guys all to that. So there you go. Everyone here will get invited to that. If I can find you. But yes, so that'll be fun. But yeah, for right now, just holding on to those, and it's the one series where I have not. I get the Yellowstone limited edition every year too. Also, by the way, very hard to find these days. But that one I just open all those. I don't have a set saved or anything like that. I enjoy drinking those. So, but fun stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the series. It started in 2017. Of course, Freddie Noe, aka Little Book, got that nickname as a 5-year-old from his grandfather. Booker Noe, of course, the legendary, one of the all-time greats in terms of distilleries. He's a guy definitely in the discussion, and I don't know if you could keep him off the Mount Rushmore of bourbon if you did that. He's just that big of a deal in the bourbon industry, and certainly one of the all-time great characters, in addition to being one of the all-time great distillers. So he gave him that nickname, and of course, as Freddie's coming up through the business, he was released to do a couple things. What do you want to do? And he came up with this idea of calling a series Little Book, which was his nickname from his grandfather, as a tribute to him, who, of course, Booker started Booker's Bourbon and loved that. Even in his final days, he, told his son Fred, don't mess with my Bookers, and make sure that doesn't get messed up. And I think Fred has actually done a very good job with that. I think Fred kind of took it to the next level, really, when they started, naming the batches. They weren't just numbers, naming them. That was actually really big, because now you have this memory. You can tie a name with a taste, and you can kind of remember which are your favorite. I think that really helps out. So Fred has done a great job of being a good person to run that brand. But this one here, again, I think Freddie is really innovative and kind of leading the industry. This whole blending thing, and of course, we did a movie called "Blending is Trending," and it was largely, the work that Freddie had done. Of course, he's featured in that movie. I feel like it's underrated. I mean, we're just independent filmmakers. We have zero advertising budget or anything like that. The people who watch that movie are the people that probably know us, or have heard a podcast, or gotten on our website or something like that. But I would encourage you to watch it. It tells the entire story of blended whiskey, from being nothing to the rise of it, to the fall of it, and now as it starts to ascend once again from people like Freddie Noe. And one of the cool things in there is Freddie actually does a blend for us that live, and literally that's in real time. If you watch that segment, and I think it's like 8 minutes of the movie or something like that, there was no cuts or anything like that. That was literally Freddie starting the blend to completion. Just kept the camera on him, and it's not his normal process. Of course, he normally likes to let those sit for at least 24 hours once he blends it, then taste it. But for the camera, he just put something together, and I'm telling you, it was fantastic. And it wasn't set up or anything like that. He was literally picking things out as he went, grabbing things off a table and stuff like that. It was really, really cool to see. So in 2017, he came out with Little Book Chapter 1. Again, they all have names. So this one was called the Easy. And there was 4 blended whiskeys in there. There was a 4-year-old bourbon, a 13-year-old corn whiskey, a 6-year-old malt whiskey, and a 6-year-old high rye whiskey. That one weighed in at 128.2 proof, the highest proof that they've done to date. And it was kind of really, truly the kickoff to Freddie's career. I know he had experimented with a couple other things. This was the first one that got released to the public, and he did a tour with that. And his first stop happened to be St. Louis. And I went to that event, and that was the first time that I met Freddie Noe. So great opportunity to meet him. Ended up, kind of starting a friendship. I stayed there afterwards and chatted with him. So I was with my buddy Paul. So many of you know Paul, the candle guy. And he decided he didn't like this for some reason. And literally when it was over, he's like, okay, thank you. Gets up and just walks out. This just doesn't, I don't know why he didn't like I think revisionist history, he'll tell you he liked it for now. And it was a great event. He just got up and walked out. And I thought, man, that's awkward. But I stuck around, which ended up being a great move, and got to know Freddie a little bit. And his wife, Kay, was there. So I got to meet her as well for the first time. And we just talked, and I talked about the podcasts and all that. And ultimately, he's been a big supporter of what we do, which is cool. So that was the first year. And once you have a yearly release like this, the challenge, of course, is you always want to do better the next year. And I mean, that's not to put aside what you've done the previous year, and you don't ever hold back. You always do the absolute best job you can. But then, no matter what that level is, where you set that bar, the next year you want to exceed it, because it's just how people are. And that's how I would be if I was doing it. And that's what Freddie wants to do too. So in year 2, he came out with an interesting one called No Simple Task. That was the name of it. There's 3 whiskeys in here. This one is probably the most controversial to date. Some people will tell you this wasn't a good one. I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was really good. And I thought it was so different. It's hard to, do an apples to apples. Is it better than the previous one? I don't know. It's an 8-year-old straight Kentucky rye, a 13-year-old Canadian rye, and some 40-year-old Canadian corn whiskey. And again, same thing. They don't ever tell you what the mix is. That's kind of the proprietary part of this. But that one came in at 118.8 proof. So that was a year. And again, the fact he had some Canadian whiskey in there. But again, this is what Freddie has always said the series is all about. He is able to use anything in the Beam portfolio, the Beam Suntory portfolio. So that's, of course, across multiple types and styles of whiskey. It's unlimited as to what he can do. He can tap into any of that stuff. And that's what he did. He had gone on some tours of some of their Canadian distilleries. They talked about some of this. He got to try it. Just thought it'd be great in whiskey. And again, something totally different. There's not another one that they've done that's similar to chapter 2 at all. Chapter 3 was called The Road Home. And this one, of course, is pretty special. Probably one of the favorite ones, 122.6. And this kind of had all of the whiskeys that we know, but again, different proofs and different ages. So it had, again, 9-year-old Basil Hayden's in there, a 9-year-old Knob Creek, 12-year-old Bakers, and 11-year-old Bookers, and of course, blended out. And so different ages than normally would get released and things like that. Just, had a familiar feel, but different at the same time, if you can believe that. So I thought that was a great one. And then chapter 4, one of the ones we'll be trying tonight, it's called Lessons Honored. There's 3 different whiskeys in that. There's a 4-year-old straight brown rice bourbon, which is interesting. Brown rice, of course, experimented at Beam that years ago. Jerry Dalton, the only master distiller who wasn't a Beam family member, is the guy who started making brown rice bourbon at Beam. And it's something I guess they've continued to do because they had some 4-year-old straight brown rice bourbon there. So that would have been after Jerry left for sure. So that one came in at 122.8. There was also an 8-year-old high rye whiskey in there and a 7-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon in there. So that was chapter 4. That was last year's. And then this year, the one called The Invitation. So that's there's 4 whiskeys that make up this one. Comes in at 116.8 proof. This happens to be the lowest proof of the series so far. And it has 2-year-old straight bourbon. What's interesting about this is it's not a normal Beam recipe, because normally it comes off the still at 125. This, they don't tell you what proof it came off at, but it's much lower. So the idea is it gives a lot different grain taste. You're going to taste a lot different when it's coming off that still at a lower proof. So we don't know what it is, but we do know it's lower than the normal 125. And that's kind of, my understanding, is kind of the base of this one. And then you've got a 3-year-old malted rye and then a 5-year-old bourbon and a 15-year-old bourbon in there as well to round it out. So that's what's going to make up this one. So with that knowledge, let's go ahead and give this thing a taste. We'll taste our first one. That's the chapter 4. Don't forget. Before we do that, though, let's pour chapter 5 and get that one just sitting. Again, we're going to be drinking the chapter 4. Let's pour that one. But again, set it aside. And we're going to start on our tasting with Little Book chapter 4. Okay. What are you guys getting? Just initial response on the nose. I mean,
peanut brittle and red vine licorice.
Peanut brittle and red vine licorice. Okay.
Get like
I think
a toasted nut. I think that's coming from the rice or something.
a toasted nut. Okay. I would say too, almost
Pears. I get pears.
pears. Yeah, there's definitely the fruit there. So the pears is spot on.
Yeah. I was going to say apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost kind of a little beer note in there too. I don't know what that is, but I don't know what beer smells like. I'm kind of getting a nose of that in there.
Are you talking like maybe kind of yeasty,
Yes.
musty,
Yeah.
rickhouse like?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that on the nose, but I get it on the taste.
Ooh, I get some cherry in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's taste it. Cheers, gang. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's really nice. Boy, that drinks really well. Again, just as a reminder here, that comes in at 122.8 proof. It's got the 4-year-old straight brown rice bourbon in there, an 8-year-old high rye whiskey. You feel that. I mean, that's something that certainly stands out. And then a 7-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon in there. So that's what makes this one up. There is a nice layer of flavors there. Finish is awesome on this one. I mean, it's really good. It's not hot, but it is warm and it sticks with you. I mean, it definitely has some staying power. So that's nice. Let's talk a little bit. Again, I'll kind of divide the group up a little bit here as we share some tasting notes. And I will start up here with Mr. Rob Bean. Rob, what are you thinking taste wise?
I'm getting like a real dark, like maybe like a date or something like that, or like a dark cherry. It's got this funky, just deep sweetness to it that I like.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, here we go. Mr. Bill.
I like it.
I like it.
There you go. That's a solid rating from Bill right there, folks. That's what you
I
want to
can't
hear.
add anything else. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. This is what master distillers want to hear. They want to hear Mr. Bill say, I like it. So
But the nose is fantastic, and
Nose
then
is
it follows
fantastic.
on with a really good palate too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely some traditional notes in there too, kind of leather in there. Definitely the sweet of something like fig or date or something. So I like that. Eric Johnson, Iowa Eric Johnson, by the way, not the Kentucky Eric Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much. I like it very much as well. I get a lot of rye. I'll be interested in this on the second pass when my palate's a little more warmed up. But it's very drinkable, but I'm definitely getting that rye tingle all over. I'll just leave it at that. It's delicious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kevin, how about you?
Some like burnt caramel.
Yeah.
And I had the cherry on the nose, and I get cherry on the palate as well.
Yeah.
And it's not over oak, but you get a hint of the oak, I think, but it's not like drying out your mouth kind of oakiness. I'm not a big fan of a heavy oak. Right. But I think this is appropriately oak.
Okay. Appropriately oak. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like that. Michael, how about you?
Getting a lot of coffee.
Okay. Toffee, butterscotch, creamy mouthfeel. Very, very low key tonight. Very quiet. Calming. Very calming.
Somebody's wearing a puffy shirt after this.
This would be a good one to sip in front of the fire.
Sip in front of the fire. Okay. I like that. All right. Vicky, how about you? What are your thoughts?
So it didn't taste like I expected after the nose. And so I am actually getting graham crackers and maybe like a wheaty cereal.
Okay.
And then the more I drink it, I pick up the grassy notes. It's definitely got some grassy notes in it, big time. And it's very dry. Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a
Justine?
question on
Sure.
follow up? The grassy thing, I like that. Do you think that's a result of the rice bourbon? Anybody have a lot of experience with rice whiskeys? We need Chris Koenig on here right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Should phone a friend, call Chris.
Right.
Because that's all he's doing right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely a big advocate of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we've
wonder
had a
what the
lot of
motive
rice-
don't usually
we've
get
had a
it.
lot of rice alcohol. No one's had a
Mm.
lot of rice alcohol, right?
Right.
But I don't remember any other rice-based alcohols necessarily tasting grassy.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe that's the oak play.
I don't get
Yeah.
a lot of grassiness in bean products usually,
Right.
but that's just me.
Yeah. So what's the
but
difference here? What,
I don't know. Just a question to throw out.
Yeah. All right, Justine, how about you?
Yeah, I don't really have too much different to add. On the nose, I agree with Paul. Like I got the apple, and I was getting kind of like a hazelnut. I also agree with the dates or fig on the taste, and I'm kind of getting like almost like a walnut taste.
Okay.
Like, taste.
Hmm.
Yeah. And for someone who had nothing to add, she had
But
quite
she
a
added
bit of
a
good
lot.
stuff there. I think there. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty good. That was not bad. I'm glad she didn't say she had a long list. That would have been who knows. Yeah. Okay. No, that was really good, and all solid notes for sure, Justine. All right, Danny. Just a couple more, and again, we're only doing half because it's a big group. We'll do half on this one and half on the other one, and of course, then we'll go back through a second time, and anybody can jump in on that. So, Danny.
Well, I agree with everybody on everything else except for on the taste. For me, it's almost like when you almost get a batch of cookies almost too done,
Okay.
but not quite burnt.
Cookies almost too done, but not quite. Just right on the edge, huh?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Is that, Danny, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Now, famously on a commercial live read about our shirt that we had, I asked him if, because he asked if it had a zipper on the front. I said no. And I said, well, and he said, okay. I said, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He said, that's a bad thing. Live commercial read. Yeah. We darn near went broke after that, Danny, but yeah. It was funny. I liked it. All right. Last one on the first round here. Jim, what are your thoughts?
I mean, that's on the nose. I wasn't getting as much as everyone else. I mean, for me, it was kind of dusty. Like I was getting oak and leather more than anything. I didn't really get the grassiness. I could kind of see that. I'm not sure if that's really a byproduct of the rice whiskey. I've had some rice vodkas before. Being in Louisiana, it's one of our grains, so I have had some homegrown stuff, and it's got a very distinctive flavor. And I wasn't picking that up.
Right.
So I could see grassiness maybe from a rye, but not that. I don't think that was a rice thing. To Kevin's point. So.
Yeah. Okay. So again, the challenge for Freddie is to do better, the upcoming year, which will be the next one we try here, chapter 5. I want to know just by a show of hands, who likes this one? If you like this, raise your hand. So I'm just checking out here. Most hands up. Okay. All right. We'll see. He as you saw by the number of hands there.
I like chapter 3 better.
Okay. He likes chapter 3 better. But you have to hold off on making an assessment until we go through 2 times. Sometimes it evolves. We've had Mr. Bill say, I'm going to lock this in right now and not change my vote. And then we make him try a second time and he's changed his vote. So yeah, it happens. So we'll see. So that's the first one. Again, I think
It happens.
It's been set pretty high, the bar there. So we'll see what
Well,
happens.
and a good question also is, would you buy it? Knowing the price, would you buy it?
Would you buy it? Yeah. Initial price on these, by the way, was $80. So when Little Book Chapter 1 came out, the suggested retail price $80. Now it's $125 is the MSRP. And finding one from the previous year like a chapter 4. I don't know. I'm not a secondary market guy, so I don't know, but I'm sure
A couple $100.
Yeah, it's not a crazy one, but yeah, you're going to pay more than, let's just figure it doubles. So $250. So yeah. All right. Let's grab chapter 5 here. Again, just as a reminder, this one comes in at 116.8 proof. There's 4 different whiskeys in this blend. So there's that 2-year-old straight bourbon. Again, what's unique about it is it's a lower proof than Jim Beam normally does. Undisclosed, how low, we don't know that. There's a 3-year-old malted rye. There's a 5-year-old bourbon in there. And then there's a 15-year-old bourbon. So obviously a pretty old one in that 15-year-old stock. And we'll see if we can pick up on that. Should be interesting. All right. Again, as a group here, let's talk about first stop on the nose. What do we think?
Vanilla.
It's good. Yeah.
And Caro syrup.
Okay.
There's a wood in there, like it's almost not cedar, but not oak.
But leaning more towards the cedar, I would say.
Yeah, it's not cedar. It's not a light.
Right.
Yeah, there's something in between there.
Yeah, kind of a peppery note too.
Yep.
On the nose.
Like the nut shells or the husks, right?
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Once again, I get the toasted nuts again.
Toasted. Okay. Well, here we go. Cheers, gang. Let's try this one. Let's see what we got here. That's pretty darn good. Great mouthfeel for sure. Let's just start out with that. Mouthfeel's great. Again, 116.8. Nice warm tug to this one.
A great finish.
It does. It does have a great finish. It's you're also getting some rye spice in there. I'm definitely getting some of that going. So that's probably the 5-year-old bourbons, 15-year-old bourbons, just high rye bourbons, I would guess.
100% malted rye in it as well. I think that is a very interesting component to this one.
Yes, it is. So, it's got some sweet notes in there too, and maybe along the lines of pear or something like that. I mean, I think there's definitely some fruit mixed in there. Let's go. Tim, what are your thoughts taste-wise?
This one's, I think, is more balanced. I keep it all right in the middle of my tongue. Is where this thing settles down for me, and it just keeps on unpacking from there, but it doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sits in the middle of the palate, and I think that's, you said, was it 100% malted barley, or was it a malted
100% malted rye?
Yeah.
Malted rye. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because this one is when the spice I get is not traditional rye spice. It's more of almost like a jalapeno spice, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a pop on this one that's very unique.
Right. Yeah. But I agree with you in that it sticks around mid palate. So tongue, roof of mouth, but right mid palate for me. So, and it's good though. Really, really good. Luke, how about you, man?
No, I think the nose is wonderful, but I too like the way it plays on the mid palate. But I mean, I get tobacco, I get peppercorn. It's kind of marrying all over, which I like.
Yeah.
But what I enjoying the most, which I have on every chapter he's done, I've been fortunate to get every one, is that finish is just, it just stays with me. And to me, the finish is just as important as everything else, the front, the mid, and the finish. But that finish is just, it's still with me. And loving it, Steve.
Yeah.
Freddie, good job.
Yeah.
Good job, Freddie.
Provides great flavor. It's definitely solid. Mark, how about you, man?
I'm getting a lot of the same things on the nut. I kind of, and maybe it's just because it's the holiday season, I'm kind of getting like that nut. It kind of reminds me a little bit like of a chestnut type. But the finish on it is unbelievable. It's that right in the middle, but I'm still tasting it, and I sipped a couple minutes ago. So I mean, this is definitely the malted rye. The malted rye brings a definite complexity to this that I've never had in any of the other chapters.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Rob, how about you, man?
Definitely getting walnuts and a little burnt sugar.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Tony's usually pretty good at this.
But radish and rye is ordered too.
Oh,
Do you want me to put it in the garage?
Oh,
Or just leave it in
Yeah,
the
so when I compare this to the first one was more Jim Beam-esque, like nutty in the nose. But the taste was different from Jim Beam. It was hearty, I guess, because of the rye or the rice on that.
Yeah.
A little bit different than I'm used to. This is more traditional bourbon, I guess. Not leaning towards Jim Beam. More caramel. A lot more balanced, like everyone says, but I'm really enjoying both of these. This one, just lingers on the palate and all over.
Yeah. I think blending is just truly one of the toughest jobs in the industry, because I don't know how you begin. I don't know where the middle point is, and I don't know where the end is when you're trying to blend. I mean, that's so tough, because how do you ever know what's done? How do you know you don't add something? So I think it really is a great art, and those that blend well are, that's definitely a unique skill, and it's not as valued on the American side, but it should be. I mean, there are some great blenders, of course, American blenders, but when you go over to Europe and that, it's all master blenders is a big thing. Here, it's the master distiller. And the blender is even a job that isn't even recognized by many distillers. So it's interesting. So Freddie is doing an amazing job of bringing something definitely unique and different every year, for sure. Paul, what do you think, man?
More of the same. I get a lot of, after the baking spice and the normal notes kind of dissipate, it's great, like a sweet tobacco and peppercorn. And the finish is just so long. I mean, this is a really good one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to the Robinsons. We'll start with Melanie.
I don't really have anything to add other than what's already been said. I think
Okay.
both of these are very balanced and complex at the same time. I would describe the first one as smooth and the second one as robust. Seemed like it was a little brighter, a little spicier, even at the lower proof. And it actually had a shorter finish for me than the first one, but they're both really good.
Yeah. Neil, how about you?
Got a little woodiness on the nose, which was very pleasant. The kind of a burnt caramel on the taste. I love the way it just kind of hits right in the middle of my tongue and just stays there. And it's not a long finish. It's not a hug, but it's a long finish that just kind of lingers and make the complexity of it just hits right in the middle and stays there.
Yeah, I agree. Patrick, how you doing, man?
All right. Unfortunately, battling COVID over here, so I'm
I
only
saw that
having
online, so I figured you wouldn't be able to participate.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals where it's taking your sense of taste and smell away.
Not 100%. I'm like at a little bit there, so I'm only having a dribble of each. So all I can really add is the chapter 5 just tasted richer and sweeter than 4, and 4 just tastes a little drier and earthier for me. But I'm not really getting specific notes, but I'm looking forward to revisiting them in a week.
You want to take Mr. Bill's role, and you can just say I like it, and then we'll let Mr. Bill get full tasting notes.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this: just these small tastes, I like 5 better than 4.
Okay, there you go. There's a preview. Ben, how about you, man?
Good evening, everybody. I get the caramel. I get like roasted nuts. It's the mouthfeel is great. The finish is still there with 5. So yeah, I'm digging 5 on the first go around.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it holds up round 2. These things can evolve a little bit, so we'll see. Last but not least, before we go back and take our second taste through 4 and 5, we'll go to the legend himself, Mr. Rick Brenner.
I like this very much. It's got a great peppery taste to it.
Yeah.
Great spice. And it's got great legs.
Yeah. Yeah, this one, it's definitely solid, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. So put 5 aside again for just a little bit here. Let's go back to 4. And we're going to do just a higher level. We're not going to call on anybody individually. So you're encouraged, if you have any nosing notes, any tasting notes you want to share, it could be something that you feel has changed, or maybe you're just like, no, it just kind of reinforced where we're at. Feel free to add anything to the commentary you like. So let's talk first on the nose. That's pretty good on the nose.
Gotten sweeter.
Yeah, it's sweeter, butterier. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. It's definitely evolved a bit.
Lots of vanilla on the second time around.
Vanilla, yeah.
Definitely sweeter, but it also still has that earthy grassiness to it.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's like if you just nose from a high level, it seems more vanilla, but if you really get in there, take a deep breath, it's grassier. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, let's give it our taste here. Let's see what we got. Still very good, sweet. A little bit of more oakiness. It feels the second time around. Finish is mellowed a little bit. It still has a finish to it.
Along the jawline.
Yeah. Yeah. It still has the finish there, but not as long as it was at our first when we first tasted it. What else you guys want to add to the official record here?
To me, when I revisited it, Steve, it's reminding me more of like a baker's profile. I don't know, maybe at least in comparison to 5, but it hit me like I'm drinking Baker's.
Like Baker's, okay. Okay.
That didn't change at all for me. That's exactly what I remembered.
That's what you remembered, okay. No mellowing of the finish or anything?
Nope.
No, I love the finishes, and I think on 5 I got actually some more like kneaded bread, dough. Yeah. In a good way, not a bad way.
Right.
What if, and if you've already finished chapter 4, then this won't work. But if you keep just a little bit of chapter 4, and then after we do chapter 5, what if we make our own 4.5? Yeah.
Yes, that could be a thing. We can turn that into a thing, maybe.
Hey,
I don't want to do
we've
that
got
to
a
my
great
5
idea.
sample. Yeah, I don't want to do that to my 5 sample.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about on chapter 4 here? Any other notes, anything like that? Anybody? Okay. All right, let's grab chapter 5. Put that aside.
Five is dangerously drinkable.
Yeah. I agree.
5 is just where it's at. I mean, that's exactly, there's no faults in it. That's just,
There's no
you're gonna be
misses.
happy when you're drinking 5.
Tony, unfortunately, is not eligible to do a chapter 4.5 as he's consumed at least one of these are gone already. So
I liked 4, but I mean 5 is like a not a caramel apple, but a candied apple. You know, like that
Candied
hard, crunchy, candy, sweet shell.
Burnt marshmallows.
Yeah.
The note that I had on it, as far as the palate, is pecan pie filling.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you get that little pepper on the finish, and then that kind of settles into that pecan pie filling sweetness after. You just got that brown sugar, that vanilla, that cinnamon, that little bit of nuttiness. So We call that a fat guy tasting note.
I call that a Southern guy tasting note.
That fat Southern guy, yeah.
Hey, I took the bill, I'm sorry.
Now I want to make some s'mores and burn the crap out of the marshmallows and crack some pink peppercorns on top.
There you go. That could be
I
a
think
thing.
that sounds like a good dessert now.
I'll give you my address, Vicky.
Perfect.
What else do we want to enter into the record here for this one? I mean, it's solid. It does just hangs
initial
around.
pass, I thought that the finish was longer on 4 on the initial pass, but the finish is gotten better on 5, and it's longer on.
Doesn't
5.
go away. It just stays with you.
I mean, it's like, you know, it was definitely more of a jawline thing on 4. That's kind of all mid palate on 5, and it's just lingering.
Yeah.
So and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
So,
I think that's a great thing. I think that's
that
the
is a
mark
great
of a good bourbon, is that the finish.
It just keeps going.
And I think Freddie, he nailed both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's really nailed all 5 of them in my mind. I mean, he's killing it for a young guy. I mean, it's so exciting for me as an old guy. Freddie Noe will be, you know, making whiskey as long as I'm going. I mean, he's got such a long career ahead of him. I mean, he's just really getting started, and he's already doing such great things for a company where you really don't have to do great things. They're so big. It's really one of those things. Just don't steer the ship wrong is probably the corporate initiative. But he's not comfortable doing that. He wants to go out and challenge himself and do different things. And, you know, he's out talking to, you know, craft distillers, people like Alan Bishop or Royce Neely. You know, he calls upon those guys and asks questions and, you know, how are you doing this? Or what are you doing that? That's crazy to me. I can't think of another industry where something like that would happen. Because I worked in the grocery business as a food broker, I worked with all different types of companies, and believe me, they never reached out to the competition for anything, much less a big guy asking a small guy, you know, what they're doing. It just blows my mind, really. But it's such a great industry, so you got to love it. So very cool.
I agree with that sentiment 100%. I've seen that firsthand. It's like, you know, small guys calling, you know, the big guys calling the small guys.
Right.
Like, hey, I heard you had a spectacular product. What did you do? What was different? You know, what's special about this that people are going crazy for? You know,
Yeah.
How can we improve? Because everyone wants to improve. I mean,
yeah. And you know, it doesn't matter how friendly you think an industry might be, like jelly. There's nobody who just has a small jelly company that's calling, you know, the CEO of Welch's Jelly and saying, "Hey, can I talk to somebody who knows, can give me some hand?" That would never happen. But in this business, it does. People return phone calls. It's cool. It's cool.
I think the CEO of a jelly company is like, "I'm making jelly, man. What?"
Right. Don't bother me.
Versus you're calling someone at the head of a bourbon company. It's like, "Come on over and have a glass. We'll talk." You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
One other point on chapter 4. I think I read somewhere that the rice bourbon that's used in that was the first thing that Freddie distilled at Beam.
Yeah, I do think I remember that too now, Kevin. Yeah, as you say that. Yeah. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So,
and that was in the lessons honored bottle, right?
Yes,
that was 4,
honored.
right?
Yep, that was
so that
4.
very fitting.
Yeah, very fitting, and yeah, very cool. All right, well, give you guys just a minute here or so. If you're still working on this, you can do your own independent side by sides. If you're don't let the group influence you. You pick out what you think is best. We'll keep a tally here, and with the mission of discovering, did Freddie exceed what he did in 2020 in his 2021 version? So do that. Just a couple minutes.
4.5, by the way, is a little grassy on the nose. The more grassy than and there. I think I had pretty equal portions of it.
Okay.
And then kind of honey on the palate.
Honey on the that's good.
Yeah.
Honey on the palate's good.
Yeah, I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
What's interesting is my bottle of chapter 4 doesn't smell the same as the sample of chapter 4 I got. It's different.
He sent you old granddad.
That would be interesting. Yeah, that would be real good for business. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, guess what? It is now time to vote. Voting is as simple as can be. Do you like 4 better or do you like 5 better? We'll go through everyone, and everyone will get a vote here, no matter how the vote's going. Even if it looks like it's slanted very one way, we'll go through and just see where we stand. With that, we're going to kick it off as you guys sit on my screen. It's definitely different for yours. I found that in presenting, it's not necessarily, we don't have all the same screen. So in my screen in the top left-hand corner is the legend himself, Mr. Rick Brenner. Rick, which is your favorite of the evening?
5.
5, okay. Okay. All right. Usually, Rick, that's you know what, and they do these different things for voting, like a chicken picks something or something. If Rick picks it, it usually ends up being the winner. I say that. He's usually pretty, he's like one of those predictors where if Rick goes that way, that looks like that's how it typically goes.
And I was on the event where he got one wrong. I can say that.
Yes, there's his streak of getting.
Oh yeah, that was Limestone Branch. That was with Fonte. Fonte got it wrong too.
He had a string of getting absolutely everything right, and then we did a Yellowstone event with Fonte on there, and Brenner got it wrong. It wasn't a Dusty event, so he claims his Dusty event is still, his Dusties are still intact.
But even Fonte got it wrong that time.
That's true. That's true.
So I was in good company. If I was in air, I was in good company.
Fonte's like, I drink this every day. I don't know how I got it wrong.
I was wrong with their brand ambassador.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. That was a tough one though. There were 6 samples on that one, so you had to pick out which one was the shelfie. So
I was ended up on 2, so I did good on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, you're the next one to vote here. What are your thoughts? Do you like 4 better or 5? He says 5.
5. Yeah. I've got 4. I wish I'd been able to get 5. I definitely like 5 better.
5 was gone quick. I'm telling you, it's
never got a chance to even get one.
Yeah.
I don't know if one will turn up in my near future here, but if it does, I'm getting it. So
yeah. Danny, how about you? What do you like better, 4 or 5?
5.
5. Danny says 5. Okay. All right, Kevin, you're next on the screen.
5.
5.
And what's your local Costco? That's where I got a bottle of it, and then I opened it and loved it and was waiting for a backup, and they had it at Costco.
It just showed up there. Huh. Yep. That's cool. That's good. All right, Eric Johnson, Iowa. Eric Johnson.
Both excellent, but I prefer the 5.
5. Okay. Currently, chapter 4 leads 6-1 over chapter 5. I'm kidding. I just think I was that bad at scoring. That could happen. It could happen. As I get older, that's more likely to happen. But for right now, I still got it down, I think. Chapter 5 leads 5-zip. Mr. Bill, you're next.
I like it.
No, this isn't tasting notes time. It's voting time. Yeah.
B.
Okay. Chapter
5. 5.
Yeah. Well, he's even got himself messed up at this point. Okay. All right, Rob. Bean.
5.
5. Okay. All right. Next up is Vicky.
Yes, easy 5.
Okay. You were going to surprise me if you said 4. You were such an advocate of 5. Maybe you were just messing with us though. Trying to throw us off. But no.
I feel bad for 4 and I should give it a vote. No.
Throw it a vote. Yeah. All right, Justine, you're next.
5.
5. Okay. All right, Michael.
Not while on you. Probably because I'm going to vote for number 4.
You're going to vote for 4. Okay.
I'm going to vote for 4.
Okay. All right. 4's still got a chance here based on the numbers. It's going to need a hard push, though. This could be the start of a wave.
You
here.
know
We'll
what?
see.
They can have the 5. I'll take all the 4s that are out.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Tim, how about you?
4.
4?
4.
Okay. 4 has started. Here we go. Tony, famously, Tony's 4 did go first, by the way. We were drinking the 5. He was still on that one. The 4 was gone. So just maybe that could be a precursor that he liked 4 better. We'll see. Tony, what's your official vote?
So it's hard to choose. I picked these on a different night. 4 is my favorite on a different night.
Right.
5 is my favorite, maybe another night. I like the creativity and the taste and difference behind number 4, but tonight I'm going to go number 5.
5. Okay. Number 5 gets back to number 5. All right. Rob W.
5.
5. No hesitation, no discussion, just locks in 5. I like it. Mark Mason.
5.
Oh gosh, the voice of God, so loud. All right. My headphones. Luke.
4.
4. Okay. 4. All right. Paul.
5.
5. Okay. Melanie Robinson.
5.
5. Okay. Neil Robinson.
5.
5. Okay. Patrick, we'll still ask. I know you've got issues, but we'll still
Yeah,
ask.
with 50% taste and smell, I don't want to break any tiebreakers. So, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. I'll go with 5.
5. Okay. Okay. All right. Ben, how about you, man?
5.
5. For the record, I will also vote 5. So it's not a blind tasting. So it's not like I have any strategic advantage. So I get to play as well. So that means our final count is chapter 5 exceeds chapter 4, 18-3. So I'd say that's a pretty decisive win. So from Freddie's standpoint, I think that's a good thing. You want to exceed every year. And I don't think anybody's saying, well, the other one that they didn't vote for is really bad. I think I think they're both solid whiskeys. So yeah, he's done amazing things and continues to do so. And he set himself a new standard. It sounds like there's yet a new bar he'll have to hurdle. I guess he can enjoy this for now, but when the calendar turns 2022, we'll start talking Little Book Chapter 6, and yeah, he's going to have to exceed himself. So.
The only thing that would have thrown a wrench in the works was chapter 3, because that still was just phenomenal.
That's such a classic one, right? With the bourbons that we know, just at different ages and proofs and stuff, and blend them together, and yeah. That's why I always say Beam is the most likely one. They should have their own version of the BTAC collection, the same concept where they have these familiar whiskeys to us at different ages and different proofs and stuff like that. Do some barrel strengths, the ones that aren't normally, and they've got just such great history and such great brands that it would really lend itself to that. And I think as fans, we'd all be interested in that. So that's just something they could do at any point, or if they're watching this, they want to hire me to head that for them. I'll do it.
We're headed that way with
I'll do it.
Bookers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's becoming very difficult to find, and it's
I know
much more expensive than it has been in 3 or 4 years ago. It's almost double what it was 4 or 5 years ago.
It is,
and it's hard to find now.
Yeah,
and it wasn't that way 2 years ago.
Not that long ago, you could find it. It was one that it might only be one facing with 2 bottles on the shelf, but it seemed like there's stores that you could go into that always had Bookers, and that's not the case anymore. It is also now like a one-day thing. The last chapter of Bookers that just came out, same thing, was gone in St. Louis today. All these groups said, hey, it's out there and go grab it. There was one guy that bought 4 cases from a store. What are you going to do with 4 cases of Bookers? Again, there traditionally is not a high secondary on that or anything. You can understand if someone had an opportunity to buy 4 cases of one of these that they can instantly turn over and flip. But I guess it's maybe starting to build, but man, you just can't. You can't get Bookers anymore.
It's limit 1
right
here.
Yeah. Well, it should be. I guess if people are buying 4 cases.
And the best,
if it's allocated in most places, yeah, it is limit 1. When you're trying to do that stuff, and I would say that it's like even with the chapter 4, it's like because of the rice whiskey and the experience that I had with rice vodkas and things in the past, I was like, yeah, that's a very distinctive flavor, and I'm not sure I'm going to want that in a whiskey. I bought it anyways, but it's like it was still a reasonable price when I got it, and I don't dislike 4 at all. I just think that 5 was just much smoother compared to the 4 in this doing a side-by-side comparison like this.
Right. Yeah. I would love to have all 5 and do a tasting with all 5. That would be really cool. To
Oh,
see.
you're gonna do that. You know you are. You got all those bottles.
I do have all the bottles. I don't want to crack those though.
Yeah, you already told us you have them all.
That's
You
gonna be
already
the
said that.
$125 tasting right there. There we go.
Yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, I want to hang on to those. Now, of course, every once in a while they show up. When Beam launched their club, you know, you could buy the little book chapter 5, but you also, you know, could buy chapter 1 too, which is so
The only one I
they had
haven't
some more of
had.
that sitting around. I can't imagine how they hold that stuff back. It's always to me like seems like you'd push it all, flush it all out, and when you can make the money with it. But I guess they held some back. I just saw like Heaven Hill was what was it? They did like a Parker's Heritage, like the Orange Curacao one that was like years ago on one of their daily releases. Why would they hold that back or whatever? Huh, it's weird.
They were hoping it would taste better. That stuff is awful.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that
Say,
one.
was it still aging?
Yeah.
Who wants
Terrible. I've
whiskey?
tried it.
Who wants whiskey aged in Tang in a Tang barrel? I mean, nobody wants that.
I love
It's
it.
terrible. It's not good.
That was
I
an
do
interesting.
too. And for the money that it goes to, the charity, that's what I love more. So, you know,
Yeah.
you can hate on it as much as you want, but what the charity it goes to is speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm on an island. I recognize how bizarrely different it is, but I think it's good. I think it's an interesting pour, but I get it. It's a divisive one, and I'm
I like it too. It's definitely different, but I know Danny wouldn't like it. Danny famously hates orange, so even though he's a Texas guy, you would think he would love everything orange, but he hates orange.
He wears orange hats.
I hate the taste of orange, not the color.
Oh,
Okay.
what else do you hate? It's weird. It's like an orange's default. Like everyone kind of likes that, but Danny, what's is a cherry or something you don't like as well? What's the other weird one that you don't like?
I don't like pineapple.
Pineapple. Pineapple's kind of divisive a little bit, but I thought there was another one that everybody likes.
I like cherries.
He likes cherries.
Pineapple on pizza. I mean, you
And
know,
that's divisive.
I think
Yes.
we can all
Pineapple
agree
on
on
pizza?
that.
Oh,
I don't like that. No,
pineapple and Canadian bacon on pizza. It's fantastic.
it's not. Stop it.
We're talking about
You're making a
Canadian
joke.
bacon.
He's
Pineapple.
making a joke, folks. Don't listen to him. It's not good. I don't like that. So yeah. Anything else, gang, for this one before we wrap it up? Any final thoughts on Little Book chapter 4 and 5?
It wasn't. Just thinking about 4. Wasn't the rye that was in 4? Didn't Freddie say that was the same mash bill as Booker's rye? I thought he did a show like this with us.
He might have said
and
that.
I thought he said
I
that.
don't necessarily remember that comment, but it would make sense. I mean, you know, it seems like they probably got 2 rye mash bills. They got what I call a Kentucky rye, which is, you know, the one that's barely rye. You know, it's a lot more corn sweet, and then they have their high rye mash bill. So I assume that you know, it's limited when you're talking about the rye that they're making, I would guess.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Well, again, we'll turn off the recorder, and that ends the event part of this. Of course, I always stick around and available for questions, talking bourbon, anything that you like, drink a little bit. So we'll say goodbye. Of course, that's to the audience, and we'll stick around and chat however long you like. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Colonel.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Steve.